You won't believe how the tables have turned. The same voices that once spoke with conviction now tremble with uncertainty. The same tongues that once spread stories about you now stumble over their own words, desperate to keep the illusion alive. You were once the topic of their whispers, the center of their carefully crafted deception. But now, they are the ones explaining, defending, over-justifying every sentence that once came out so easily. You see, desperation has a sound, and it's nothing like confidence. It's shaky, rushed, breathless. It's the voice of someone who knows the walls are closing in, someone who can feel truth pressing against the lies they built brick by brick. And as this unfolds, you, the chosen one, watch it all in divine stillness. The truth doesn't need your defense. It's already speaking for itself. Every frantic attempt they make to prove the false narratives about you only exposes how hollow those stories always were. It's almost poetic. The same words once used to bury your name are now unearthing their own guilt. You don't have to lift a finger. Divine timing is doing what human effort could never do. This is the season where masks slip effortlessly. The confidence that once clothed them like armor has rotted from within. What remains is panic, a raw, trembling energy that even their smiles can't disguise. They approach mutual friends, past allies, even strangers, trying to gather agreement, trying to build back the crumbling foundation of their fiction. But the air has shifted. People no longer nod as quickly. Their eyes linger longer. They ask questions now, questions the liar can't answer. Meanwhile, you have already ascended beyond explanation. You have found peace in the silence that once frightened you. You've learned that being misunderstood by many is worth being understood by the divine. You've stopped chasing vindication because the truth has always lived inside you. And now, those who once played the role of accuser stand trial in the court of consequence. Every action is returning home to its source. Every false word is finding its way back to the tongue that birthed it. What they don't understand is that the chosen ones carry a mirror in their spirit. Anyone who lies on you will eventually be forced to face themselves. That's why their confidence dissolved. Because deep down, the soul always recognizes when it's out of alignment with truth. They can run from your name, they can delete messages, they can rewrite stories, but they can't escape the vibration of what they've done. The universe is echoing it back through sleepless nights, restless thoughts, and conversations that keep circling the same wound. You don't need revenge. The energy is already correcting itself. You don't need confrontation. Their own guilt is confronting them. And what's unfolding before your eyes is not coincidence. It's spiritual order. This is what happens when divine justice steps in, calm, quiet, unrelenting. It doesn't scream. It simply reveals. So, when you hear whispers of them confronting others, trying to prove their lies were true, remember, this is not chaos. This is exposure. The more they struggle to convince, the more they reveal how much they've lost control. The truth doesn't panic, only lies do. What once was hidden is now unraveling thread by thread, and as it does, your peace remains untouched. You were never the one crumbling. You were the one being refined. This is your vindication in motion, not loud, not dramatic, but steady and undeniable. What once was your pain is now their reflection. What once broke you is now breaking their illusion. And through it all, you stand still, anchored in purpose, knowing that when the divine clears your name, no human hand can rewrite the script. The one who once spoke so boldly about you now trembles in their own shadow. The stories they spun so easily have become traps they can no longer escape. You can almost feel it in the air, that thick, desperate energy of someone who realizes the walls are closing in. They're cornering mutuals now, reaching out to anyone who will listen, grasping for validation like a drowning soul gasping for air. But validation no longer comes freely. The eyes that once believed them now see differently. The voices that once echoed their gossip have gone quiet. And in that silence, truth speaks the loudest. The same people who once nodded along now tilt their heads and ask, "Wait, what really happened?" Suddenly, the liar has no script that fits. The charm no longer works. The manipulative laughter sounds hollow. And panic begins to bloom behind every smile. This is the unraveling, the divine exposure that no one can outrun. Every word they spoke against you is echoing back, bouncing off every wall they built to contain you. The same walls that once protected their illusion are now collapsing inward, brick by brick, lie by lie. They're pacing the room at night, scrolling through old messages, replaying past conversations, trying to remember who they told what. They can feel something watching, not you, but justice itself. That invisible force that always waits for the perfect moment to balance the scales. And now, that moment has arrived. Their mind is a storm of excuses, their spirit restless. The confidence that once radiated when they spoke your name has turned into paranoia. They're checking who's talking, who knows what, who's still loyal. But loyalty built on deception is paper thin. One truth and it tears apart completely. This is the divine paradox. What they used to destroy you is now destroying them. Their obsession with controlling the narrative has become their undoing. Every frantic explanation digs the hole deeper. Every defensive message exposes another inconsistency. The universe is forcing them to face what they created, not as punishment, but as revelation. Because no one can escape their own energy. You can run from the truth for a while, but when it catches up, it does so with precision. And here you are still. Centered. Untouched. You're not chasing rumors or trying to prove your innocence. You've learned that silence can be the loudest answer of all. The one who once tried to bury you now digs endlessly, trying to find a way out of the very pit they made. The walls are not just closing in, they're whispering the truth they tried to bury. And the sound is deafening. Understand this, every lie has an expiration date. Every illusion collapses under the weight of reality. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to make a scene. The universe is doing the heavy lifting for you. The one who once played judge, jury, and storyteller now stands in the courtroom of consequence, pleading for understanding that will never come. Because this time, no one is believing the act. The charm is gone. The credibility has vanished. And what's left is exposure, raw, unfiltered, divine exposure. You've outgrown the battlefield they're still fighting on. You've evolved beyond the need for revenge. This is your peace season, where what was meant to break you proves your strength, and what was meant to silence you reveals your truth. Let them scramble. Let them talk. Let them exhaust themselves in the chaos they created. The more they fight to maintain the illusion, the faster it crumbles. Because the walls aren't just closing in on them, they're protecting you. They're sealing you off from old energies that no longer deserve access. The story is being rewritten, not by their words, but by your resilience. And as the dust settles, one truth will remain unshakable. Everything they built against you became the evidence that sets you free. Very frantic message they send now is an unintentional confession, a glimpse into the panic behind their perfectly rehearsed mask. You can see it, even from a distance, the cracks widening, the tone shifting, the urgency rising. Their words used to drip with confidence, coated in manipulation and control. But now, every sentence wobbles under the weight of fear. Every explanation sounds like a plea. They don't realize it, but their own communication has become evidence. The lie is decaying from within, and the stench of desperation can no longer be disguised with charm. They scrambled to maintain the illusion they once wore like armor. They reach for justification after justification, twisting their stories to fit a narrative that no longer exists. The energy is chaotic, the kind that shakes hands, avoids eye contact, and laughs too loudly at the wrong moments. They post things online hoping someone will read between the lines and validate their guilt. They overshare, over-explain, overdo everything, because silence has become unbearable. The truth is haunting them, whispering through every shadowed hour. You can't control this anymore. But you, the chosen one, are no longer part of that noise. You've transcended the realm where explanations are needed. You've stopped trying to fix misunderstandings because you understand something higher. That divine clarity doesn't beg to be believed. You've moved beyond their illusion, and your peace itself is the loudest proof of your innocence. While they crumble under the weight of their deception, you're outgrowing the very story they trapped you in. You no longer react, you observe. You no longer explain, you embody truth. This is what spiritual evolution looks like, walking calmly through chaos that once consumed you. Their messages, their projections, their frantic attempts to rewrite history, none of it touches you anymore. Because when you've healed, even their words lose power. Their noise becomes background static against the clarity of your growth. They're trying to pull you back into the war you've already won, but you don't wage battles on borrowed timelines anymore. You exist above it, in a frequency they can't access. And that's what terrifies them most. Your stillness exposes them more than confrontation ever could. Your peace proves what their lies could never hide. Every time they scramble to defend what's collapsing, they reveal how weak it truly was. You became untouchable not because you fought harder, but because you surrendered deeper, to truth, to grace, to divine timing. They're losing everything they used to manipulate others, the sympathy, the audience, the control. Every person they try to convince feels the imbalance in their tone, the distortion in their energy. The once charismatic storyteller has become the desperate defendant. They can't sense it yet, but the more they defend the illusion, the faster it disintegrates. Because no lie can survive where peace is present, and your peace is permanent. You've already stepped into the next chapter. While they pace in the ruins of their own making, you're breathing in freedom. While they're rewriting the same tired script, you're living a new story entirely. You no longer need to prove anything. Your life, your glow, your alignment are the evidence. You've outgrown their chaos the same way light outgrows darkness, not by fighting it, but by existing as proof that it never had real power. Let them scramble. Let them rush to patch what can't be repaired. Because every word they speak only accelerates their exposure. You are no longer the target, you are the testimony. You are the divine mirror reflecting truth so powerfully that illusions cannot survive in your presence. And while they chase after collapsing walls, you're already standing in open fields, free, whole, and completely untouchable. Moments keep replaying in their mind like a film they can't turn off, looping endlessly, hauntingly, mercilessly. Every scene brings back the choices they made when truth stood in front of them, patient and pleading, and they turned away. They remember the times you tried to explain, your voice steady but wounded, your words carrying the weight of sincerity. You offered them evidence, compassion, and understanding, but they were deafened by the thrill of gossip, blinded by the illusion of belonging to the crowd. Back then, lies felt powerful. They made them feel important, connected, seen. But now, those same lies echo in their head like accusations. They can't escape the replay. Every memory that once justified their actions now exposes them. The moment they dismissed your truth, it replays. The moment they rolled their eyes when you tried to show proof, it replays. The moment they chose the comfort of the rumor over the discomfort of reflection, it replays. Over and over. Day bleeds into night and still, it plays. It's not punishment, it's awakening. The mind replays what the heart refuses to face, and now, their heart is being dragged through the mirror of consequence. They remember the screenshots you tried to show, the voice messages that proved your innocence, the quiet desperation in your tone when you said, "Just listen." But they didn't. They laughed. They joined the chorus of those who mocked you, believing the illusion was safer than the truth. Now they hear your voice differently, not defensive, but prophetic. Everything you tried to warn them about has come to pass. Every word they dismissed as self-pity was actually truth begging to be seen. And you no longer replay those moments. You've learned to let go of what you can't rewrite. You've surrendered the need to convince, the need to prove, the need to be understood. The divine saw everything. The universe recorded every moment you were silenced, every time you were talked over, every time you stood in grace while being painted as chaos. You didn't lose anything, they did. They lost the chance to stand beside truth before it revealed itself. They lost the opportunity to believe before evidence forced them to. But they see it now. The guilt comes in waves, not the kind that begs for pity, but the kind that sinks the soul deep into reflection. They scroll through old conversations, reading your words again, finally hearing the meaning behind them. Every dismissal, every smirk, every judgment has turned into regret. What once made them feel superior now feels sickening. Their laughter back then now echoes like a curse. They can't escape it, because energy always returns home. For you, this cycle has already ended. You don't relive it anymore, you've transmuted it. You've taken the pain and turned it into power, the betrayal and turned it into wisdom. You no longer need them to see who you are. You've already stepped into alignment with who you were meant to become. The lessons they learned through regret are the same truths you learned through resilience. So as their mind loops the past, your spirit glides forward. Their sleepless nights are your peaceful mornings. Their guilt is your growth. Because you, the chosen one, didn't lose when they chose gossip, you ascended. Every time they denied your truth, it carved a deeper level of strength within you. Every rejection became redirection. Every closed door became a portal to your higher purpose. Now, while they replay, you rewrite. While they remember, you rise. While they drown in the echoes of lies, you walk freely in the sound of silence, healed, whole, and holy. The past no longer binds you, it testifies for you. You no longer need to remind anyone what really happened. Life itself is showing it. Their loop is your liberation. And that is the divine difference between guilt and grace. One replays, the other ascends. Now everything is being seen through fresh eyes. Eyes no longer clouded by illusion, fear, or loyalty to the wrong souls. The fog has lifted, and what was once confusing is now crystal clear. They are beginning to see the pattern, the motive, the thread that ties every betrayal together. The realization hits like a slow, painful dawn. The friend who warned them wasn't protecting them. They were jealous of the connection you carried, jealous of your light, jealous of the peace that couldn't be bought or faked. Every caution they whispered wasn't a shield. It was a seed of doubt planted to distance others from you. That's not love. That's envy dressed as concern. The family member who always said they just wanted the best for you. Their care was never pure. Their guidance was laced with manipulation, their advice heavy with hidden agendas. They played both sides, feeding you comfort while feeding others confusion. They smiled as they twisted truth into something palatable for their own guilt. They masked their control as protection because controlling you made them feel powerful. And now, it's all visible. The patterns that once blended into the background are glaringly obvious. The roles have reversed, the masks are off. And that ex, the one who called you unstable, they were never describing you. They were describing themselves. Their chaos lived in projection. Their instability found peace in labeling you as the problem. It was easier to call you crazy than to admit their reflection terrified them. They built entire narratives around their own shadows, using your light as the scapegoat. But you were never the storm. You were the mirror showing them what they refused to heal. Now, the mirror they ran from stands in every situation they face. They see themselves in every broken bond, every failed connection, every quiet moment they can't distract away. The projection has come full circle. This is what awakening feels like, raw clarity. It doesn't always come gently. It burns, it sears, it exposes every lie that was ever spoken under the guise of care. They are finally realizing that you weren't the villain, you were the vessel of truth. You were the one holding up the reflection everyone feared to see. And because truth makes liars uncomfortable, they united against you. But truth always waits, and when it reemerges, it does so with undeniable force. Now, those who once pointed fingers are turning them inward. They are sitting with the reality that their warnings, their gossip, their accusations were never rooted in discernment, only in fear and insecurity. They're recognizing that the one they labeled too intense, too emotional, too much, was simply too real. You didn't fit the version of you that made them comfortable, so they tried to rewrite your story. But divinely chosen ones can't be rewritten. They can only be revealed. You, on the other hand, see it all now from a higher place, detached, peaceful, almost compassionate. Because you understand something they don't, that people only betray when they're disconnected from their own truth. You no longer take it personally. You've stopped asking why they did it, and started thanking the universe that they did. Every false friend revealed, every manipulative relative exposed, every toxic lover unmasked, it all cleared space for your ascension. Their deceit was your initiation. Their rejection was your redirection. Now, everything is seen through the eyes of wisdom, not pain. You no longer feel anger, just understanding. You've become the observer of what once destroyed you. You recognize the jealousy behind their concern, the manipulation behind their care, the projection behind their criticism. You see it all, and yet you remain untouched. because clarity is your armor now. And while they wrestle with regret, confusion, and the shattering of their false narratives, you move forward with divine grace. The same people who once claimed to protect others from you now realize you were the one carrying light. You were the calm they mistook for weakness, the love they mistook for manipulation, the truth they mistook for attack. But the veil has lifted. The roles have reversed. And the chosen one they tried to silence now stands as the proof that truth doesn't die, it resurrects. Now, confrontations are happening. The divine stage of exposure has finally arrived. What was once whispered in secret corners is being dragged into the light, and truth is sitting at the center of every conversation. People are beginning to ask questions that were never supposed to be asked. Eyes that once looked away now stare directly into the faces of those who built their power on deception. The room feels different now, heavier, tighter. Every word, every breath, every fidget carries weight. The liars are being called to account, and it's not going well. The tone of these confrontations is unlike anything before. It's not angry, it's surgical. Every question slices through the illusion. Every pause reveals guilt. You said they did what? But that's not what I heard. Why did your story change? These simple, measured words hit harder than any accusation ever could. Because when truth enters a space, lies suffocate. You can feel the tension, their eyes dart, their hands tremble. Their once confident voices quiver with hesitation. The stories that used to flow so easily now crumble at the first sign of scrutiny. For so long, they believed they were untouchable. They counted on confusion to protect them, on manipulation to keep their narrative alive. But time has unraveled their threads, and now their fabric of deceit is in shreds. People they once influenced are comparing notes, and the inconsistencies are undeniable. One person was told one version, another heard something completely different. The puzzle pieces no longer fit. What they built carefully through whispers and suggestion is collapsing loudly under the pressure of truth. You can imagine it, the liars sitting in a room where the same story is repeated back to them, but this time with the holes exposed. Every excuse sounds thinner. Every attempt to shift blame falls flat. They try to laugh it off, change the topic, throw another name into the mix, anything to deflect the attention. But it's too late. The crowd that once nodded now raises eyebrows. The charm that once hypnotized now feels manipulative. Their words no longer carry authority, they carry suspicion. And the beauty of it all? You don't have to be there. The energy of truth doesn't need your presence to defend your name. The confrontation is not yours to fight, the universe is handling it through the mouths of others. Divine orchestration has placed the right people in the right conversations at the right time. Truth has its own way of using human vessels to deliver justice. While you move in peace, others are carrying out the cleansing. For the liars, this moment feels like drowning. They're trying to keep stories afloat that have already sunk. The panic shows, in their eyes, in their tone, in their contradictions. They can't keep track anymore of who they told what. And now the audience they once controlled is asking for receipts. Show us. Prove it. You said you had evidence. And of course, none exists. The confidence that once filled their voice has turned to stammering explanations. The higher they try to climb out of exposure, the deeper they sink. What's unfolding isn't chaos, it's divine order. The energy that once worked against you is now working for you. Those who once carried their lies like gospel are now turning away in embarrassment. You don't need revenge. Exposure is its own justice. And the most poetic part of it all, they don't even realize they're revealing themselves. Every attempt to appear innocent only makes their guilt more visible. Every attempt to sound composed only exposes the tremor in their spirit. The chosen ones are always vindicated not through argument, but through revelation. This is that revelation in motion. Every confrontation, every truth spoken aloud, every silence that follows, it's all confirmation that divine timing never fails. The lies are breaking apart under their own weight, and the ones who once mocked your silence are learning why you never had to fight. So let it unfold. Let every truth fall exactly where it's meant to. You don't need to witness their downfall. You just need to keep walking in your peace. Because while they're trying to explain their lies to others, the universe is explaining you, your purity, your strength, your endurance, to everyone who needs to see it. The truth is doing what you never had to, defending your name with undeniable clarity. And the liars? They're facing the only confrontation they truly fear, the one with themselves. The investigator is building a map now, not of places, but of people. Every name, every whisper, every story that shifted shape under pressure is being connected like constellations in a dark sky. You can almost feel the energy of it, lines being drawn between conversations, moments being revisited, memories being compared. The once scattered fragments of gossip are forming a clear pattern, and the truth is beginning to take its full shape. What was once rumor is now evidence. What was once confusion is now connection. The chaos they created has become a trail, one that leads straight to the architect of it all, the ringleader. This investigator, whether human or divine, works with precision. They don't shout, they observe. They don't accuse, they align. Every inconsistency becomes a clue. Every contradiction becomes a pathway. It's the quiet ones who piece together what others tried to bury. They're gathering receipts, timestamps, messages, stories. They notice how one person claimed they heard something, but can't recall from whom. They notice how another person said they were told something, yet their version doesn't match anyone else's. And slowly, the illusion begins to unravel thread by thread. In this sacred unfolding, every lie told in your absence is being mapped back to its source. Every false witness is now connected by their own words. The map doesn't just expose the story, it reveals the network. The alliances built on gossip. The friendships rooted in jealousy. The alliances formed in your downfall. And there, pulsing at the center like a black hole consuming its own gravity, is the ringleader, the one who started it all. They thought they could control the narrative. They thought their charisma, their tears, their theatrics would protect them. They believed that if they surrounded themselves with enough echo, no one would notice the silence behind their smile. But every empire of deceit collapses when the foundation is built on lies. Now, every connection points back to them. Every changed story, every exaggerated claim, every distorted truth, all roads lead to the same name. You can imagine the investigator's quiet satisfaction. Not anger, just knowing. They see it clearly now. Who manipulated whom, who followed out of fear, who participated out of envy. It's like watching a play where the actors forgot their lines and the script starts to crumble. The ringleader's fingerprints are everywhere, in every exaggerated detail, every carefully timed rumor, every sudden concern, expressed at the exact right moment. They orchestrated the chaos thinking no one would trace it back. But energy leaves a signature, and theirs is unmistakable. And the truth? The ringleader wasn't just trying to destroy your name, they were trying to protect their own. Projection was their greatest weapon. Every flaw they accused you of was one they carried. Every instability they pointed at you was the one they hid behind a mask. They had to make you the villain because they couldn't face the reflection of their own corruption. But now, that mask is slipping. The very people they used as pawns are beginning to see it. The loyalty they demanded has turned into distance. The admiration they craved has turned into suspicion. The investigator's map tells a story they never wanted told, a story of manipulation, insecurity, and control. And though you stand far from it, detached and elevated, your name sits at the point of redemption. Every arrow that once pointed toward you now turns in the opposite direction. The energy has shifted. The current flows backward. Justice, slow but sure, is taking its shape. And this is divine irony. The ringleader's empire of lies has become a monument to their own exposure. Every person they enlisted, every word they twisted, every alliance they built to isolate you, it's all circling back. The same mouths that once defended them now question them. The same hands that helped them now withdraw. The same attention they used to crave now feels unbearable. You don't need to interfere. The universe is the true investigator. It's connecting dots no human could ever see. It's revealing intentions that words could never hide. And when the final piece clicks into place, when the map is complete, there will be no need for argument, because the truth will speak for itself. So stand still in your knowing. Let the universe finish the drawing. The lines are already forming, the truth already glowing through the shadows. And when the map is unveiled, every eye will see what you always knew, that you were never the chaos, you were the calm before it. And that the real storm was always the one they created, only to be swept away by their own design. While they spiral in chaos, you've ascended, not by force, not by vengeance, but through divine alignment. You've risen above the noise that once tried to bury you, and the view from this altitude is sacred. Peace is no longer something you chase, it's the air you breathe. Clarity lives where confusion once reigned. You see everything for what it truly is, not through bitterness, but through wisdom. You understand now that what they tried to break in you was never fragile, it was eternal. You were chosen before the lies ever began. No smear, no rumor, no manipulation could rewrite what the universe already ordained. You've stepped into a space they cannot reach, a frequency too high for gossip to survive in. While they burn themselves out trying to control narratives, you've learned the art of release. You don't explain anymore. You don't defend anymore. You don't chase closure from people who were never meant to understand your calling. Their chaos became your classroom. Their betrayal became your teacher. Every wound turned into wisdom, and every attack transformed into armor. You didn't just survive the storm, you became the calm after it. Their minds are filled with noise, looping, frantic, desperate for validation, but yours is quiet, centered, and aligned. You wake with purpose. You move with intention. You no longer seek approval from broken mirrors. You no longer question your worth based on the voices of those who misunderstood you. The validation you used to beg for now flows from within. You've learned that the highest form of revenge is peace, and the rarest kind of power is not needing to prove anything at all. There's a glow around you now, not from pride, but from transcendence. The universe marked you long before anyone ever misjudged you. You were chosen before the story was rewritten, before the whispers began, before the betrayal took form. That's why the lies couldn't last, because truth has a resonance that can't be silenced. You were never meant to fight for recognition, you were meant to embody it. Your very existence is proof of divine selection. And while they spiral, caught in webs of their own making, trying to justify what can no longer be defended, you simply rise. Higher, quieter, freer. Every level of peace you reach exposes another layer of their instability. Every new beginning you embrace becomes a mirror of their endings. That's the divine balance. Their chaos amplifies your calm, their confusion magnifies your clarity, their regret highlights your redemption. You've entered a season where explanations are unnecessary and proof is irrelevant. Your elevation speaks louder than any defense ever could. You were chosen to stand tall in the ruins of falsehood, to remind others that truth always resurrects itself. You were chosen to demonstrate what divine timing looks like when patience meets purpose. So breathe deeply. Rest in your knowing. You don't need their approval, you never did. You don't need their apology. Your peace already cleared the debt. What was meant to destroy you only revealed how unshakable you are. You are walking evidence that being chosen isn't about being liked, it's about being refined. They spiral because the lie is collapsing. You ascend because the truth is eternal. And from this higher ground, you finally see it clearly. You were never fighting for your name, you were proving your destiny. When the villain plays the victim. You've seen this before, the moment truth pierces illusion, when light floods a room that's been dark for too long. Suddenly, the energy shifts. The tone changes. The person who once wielded words like weapons begins to tremble under the weight of their own performance. And instead of apology, instead of humility, they reach for the oldest disguise in their collection, the mask of the victim. It's a script they know by heart. I was only protecting you. I didn't mean to hurt you. You're remembering it wrong. They deliver these lines with trembling sincerity, eyes glassy with self-pity, as if pain could erase manipulation, as if tears could wash away deception. But this time, it doesn't work. Because you've awakened. You've learned to see beyond tone, beyond words, beyond crocodile tears. You've learned to feel energy, the vibration of truth, the quiet steadiness of authenticity, the false sweetness of a rehearsed lie. And when that mask slips, you no longer doubt your intuition. You know what you're feeling. You know what you're witnessing. You know who they are. The villain always thinks they can rewrite the story. But you've lived it. You know the pages they tore out, the sentences they twisted, the chapters they tried to burn. You remember the moments they gaslit you, when they smiled while making you question your reality. You remember standing there, evidence in hand, while they looked you in the eye and called you crazy. You remember the way they twisted concern into control, and loyalty into leverage. They say, I was only protecting you. But from what? From the truth that would have freed you. From the clarity that would have exposed them? From your own awakening, the moment you'd see how much power you actually had? You see, their protection was never love. It was possession. It was fear of losing the version of you they could manipulate. And now, that version is gone. The more you heal, the clearer you see, Every guilt trip, every half-truth, every emotional trap was a defense mechanism to preserve their illusion of control. They wanted to keep you soft enough to forgive, confused enough to doubt yourself, and loyal enough to stay. But the universe had other plans. The universe allowed every lie to unravel at its divine pace, not to destroy you, but to awaken you. You were meant to outgrow the narrative that kept you small. You were meant to recognize manipulation dressed as love. You were meant to see how easily people weaponize sympathy when their masks start to crack. And now, as they reach for pity, you no longer reach back. You stand tall in the clarity of your spirit, no anger, no vengeance, just peace. Because this is what divine justice looks like. Truth does not scream. It reveals. It doesn't chase. It exposes. And once it's seen, it cannot be unseen. They're realizing that now, in real time. Watch how their story changes depending on who's listening. Watch how they emphasize pain when they want attention, and innocence when they want forgiveness. Watch how they turn every confrontation into a performance, hoping emotion will cloud memory. But your soul is steady now. You've become immune to the manipulation that once enslaved your heart. You understand something deeper. That guilt is their last weapon. When control fails, guilt is their fallback. They use it like a spell, hoping it still binds you. But you've broken the spell. Every time you chose silence over reaction, every time you refused to explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, every time you let peace speak louder than anger, you reclaimed your power. The villain cannot play the victim in front of someone who's healed. Because healing sharpens perception. It tunes you to frequency, not appearance. You can hear the tone beneath the words, the motive behind the tears, the manipulation behind the "I miss you." And it's not bitterness that gives you this clarity, it's peace. True peace makes deception obvious. They feel that shift in you. They sense that their old tactics no longer land. The sighs, the guilt, the self-pity, once powerful tools, now fall flat. You don't rush to fix them. You don't rush to defend yourself. You don't even react. That stillness, that divine indifference, terrifies them. Because manipulators thrive on chaos. When you refuse to feed the drama, their illusion starves. So now they're pacing, replaying conversations, revising their narrative, desperate to find the version of you who used to believe their every word. But that version doesn't exist anymore. You buried her in the same grave where they buried your trust. Now you walk with discernment. You've learned that people who play the victim after being exposed are not seeking healing. They're seeking sympathy to regain control. Their apologies are strategic. Their tears are rehearsed. Their regret is performative. And when you don't engage, when you stay silent and grounded, you become a mirror, forcing them to face themselves. And that's the one confrontation they can't manipulate. Because the truth doesn't argue. It simply exists, steady, patient, undeniable. They might call you cold now. They might accuse you of being unforgiving, heartless, changed. And they're right, you have changed. You've evolved beyond their reach. You no longer speak the language of manipulation. You no longer negotiate with energy that drains you. You no longer confuse pity for compassion. Your boundaries have become sacred gates. They cannot enter your peace, because peace cannot be faked. You built it through pain, through clarity, through letting go of the need to be understood. You found power in silence, wisdom in waiting, and healing in walking the way. That's what they never understood. Your withdrawal wasn't revenge. It was protection. When you stopped explaining, they called you distant. When you stopped apologizing, they called you selfish. When you started healing, they called you arrogant. But what they call arrogance is actually self-respect. What they call silence is actually discernment. What they call coldness is actually peace. They don't recognize you anymore because you've become everything they tried to convince you you weren't: strong, grounded, sovereign, untouchable. They expected you to crumble when they withdrew validation. But instead you built your own. They expected you to chase when they played the victim. But instead you paused, and let them reveal themselves. Now the mask is gone. The one who once spread lies stands surrounded by the echoes of their own words. The same audience they used to entertain now watches in confusion. They're starting to notice the contradictions, the sudden change in tone, the inconsistencies that were once hidden beneath charm. The web is unraveling. Because truth has its own timing. And when it arrives, it needs no announcement. Now, the same people who once believed the act are quietly stepping back. They see the pattern. They sense the performance. They remember your silence, not as guilt, but as grace. They remember your consistency, your calmness, your refusal to smear or retaliate. And slowly, alignment happens. The vibration shifts. Energy never lies. You don't have to prove anything anymore. The truth is doing the talking now. It speaks through the unease in their eyes, the way they over-explain, the nervous laughter that tries to fill the silence between them and the people who've begun to see. That's the beauty of divine exposure. It's never loud. It's subtle. It's spiritual. It's undeniable. And when it happens, the same line they used, "I was only protecting you," becomes the echo of their own downfall. Because now everyone knows what they were really protecting: their image, their ego, their control. Not you. Never you. But that's okay. Because you don't need revenge. You are the revenge, your peace, your growth, your light. Every time you choose calm over chaos, truth over reaction, healing over history, you confirm what they feared most: that their power was temporary. That their illusion could only last as long as you needed the lesson. And you've learned it. So now, when they try to play the victim, you don't play the audience. You let the scene fall flat. You let silence be your final line. Because some apologies come too late. Some performances lose their effect once you've awakened. And some villains simply can't stand in the presence of the person you've become. You are no longer inside their story. You've become the observer, the one who sees the game from above, detached, discerning, divine. Their drama no longer shakes you. It only confirms your evolution. You've stepped into your prophetic era, where peace is your armor, truth is your weapon, and discernment is your crown. And though they still whisper, still dramatize, still twist, it doesn't reach you anymore. Because you are no longer trying to be believed, you are living in alignment. The energy around you testifies louder than any explanation ever could. That is divine justice. That is restoration. You were never meant to stay misunderstood. You were meant to be revealed, not by argument, but by fruit. By the quiet evidence of transformation that no rumor can erase. Now they face the mirror, and the mask doesn't fit. Their reflection trembles. Their story unravels. And deep down, they know, you were never the villain. You were the lesson. You always knew this day would come, the moment truth would no longer be a whisper in the dark, but a blazing light no lie could hide from. Every deception, every twisted word, every false accusation has finally met its counterweight, proof. Cold, undeniable, irrefutable proof. Screenshots. Voice messages. Testimony. Each piece of evidence hums with divine precision, not vengeance, not obsession, but justice unfolding in real time. The universe has been documenting everything while they were busy pretending. Every conversation they thought was forgotten, every manipulation disguised as concern, every word weaponized against you, all of it has come back, perfectly timed, perfectly aligned. You are no longer inside their story. You've become the observer, the one who sees the game from above, detached, discerning, divine. Their drama no longer shakes you. It only confirms your evolution. You've stepped into your prophetic era, where peace is your armor, truth is your weapon, and discernment is your crown. And though they still whisper, still dramatize, still twist, it doesn't reach you anymore. Because you are no longer trying to be believed, you are living in alignment. The energy around you testifies louder than any explanation ever could. That is divine justice. That is restoration. You were never meant to stay misunderstood. You were meant to be revealed, not by argument, but by fruit. By the quiet evidence of transformation that no rumor can erase. Now they face the mirror, and the mask doesn't fit. Their reflection trembles. Their story unravels. And deep down, they know, you were never the villain. You were the lesson. You always knew this day would come, the moment truth would no longer be a whisper in the dark, but a blazing light no lie could hide from. Every deception, every twisted word, every false accusation has finally met its counterweight, proof. Cold, undeniable, irrefutable proof. Screenshots. Voice messages. Testimony. Each piece of evidence hums with divine precision, not vengeance, not obsession, but justice unfolding in real time. The universe has been documenting everything while they were busy pretending. Every conversation they thought was forgotten, every manipulation disguised as concern, every word weaponized against you, all of it has come back, perfectly timed, perfectly aligned.